Hello and welcome in. It is Thursday, February 15th. Happy late Valentine's Day and welcome in again to NJCAA All Access. I'm Zach McKinstry.
And I'm Alexa Wesselman, and somehow we're already halfway through February, which means March is getting closer and we are about a month away from basketball selection shows. So teams are really in that final push to solidify their season to make sure they get a spot.
Yeah, there were a bunch of big games, big upsets on our docket last week, and that's where we start today with our JUCO basketball scoreboard. How about the Archers of St. Louis Community College, who shot down number 2 Mineral Area to start this week's scoreboard? St. Louis was definitely the underdog in this one, going up against the best defense in the NJCAA. And to add to the difficulty, they only played 7 players. But that didn't stop the Archers starting 5, who combined for 59 of the 63 points. Jameel Gaines had a double-double and was a perfect 10 for 10 at the stripe, while Devin Davis was the hero that tied things at 54 to send the game to overtime. In the extra frame, St. Louis seized control for good, outscoring the Cardinals 9-5 and serving up the first loss of the year for Mineral Area. That was our biggest upset, but the best finish from last week goes to number 8 Panola and number 13 Trinity Valley, who went down to the wire in a big-time regular season matchup. It stayed tight the whole game, but with 2 minutes to go, the Cardinals get swatted by Vianney Salachum. That sets up the Ponies on the other end, and Mason Brownlow goes to work, muscling his way to an easy basket to put Panola up 3. Down to 90 seconds, and when they needed it most, what a finish from Makai Dorsey, left hand like Ginobili. And then Trinity Valley would splash a 3 from the corner after a defensive stand to retake the lead by 2 with less than a minute to play. Panola has the inbound by half court, and it sneaks away from Corey Curtis, and Denham Johnson punishes the rim to pull away from the Ponies. Shakes the gym with that finish, and TVCC would lead by 4. Last chance for Panola after the missed free throw, and the sophomore guard Josh Wilson speeds past midcourt to the top of the arc and gets a roll as friendly as your next-door neighbor, rattles around the rim and drops to keep the Ponies alive. The Cardinals go 1 of 2 on their next trip, and with 6 seconds left, a 3 could win it for Panola. But great defense results in a bad shot, and the Cardinals get the upset in a phenomenal game in Athens, Texas. And the other ranked matchup pitted East Florida State against Florida Southwestern, and the number 14 Titans prevailed 81-66. Excitement continues on the women's side of things as number 1 Gulf Coast State fell in overtime against receiving votes Chipola 86-80. This one was a fun finish, led by Tanijah Purifoy, who had 26 points and 13 assists, nearly as many as Gulf Coast State had as a team. And it marks back-to-back years that the number 1 team has lost on the road against the Lady Indians. Gulf Coast State bounced back quickly, though, taking down number 3 Northwest Florida State by 11. Number 7 Pearl River got dropped by unranked Mississippi Gulf Coast. In D2, Iowa Lake stays scorching hot. They've now won 6 games in a row, including 3 over ranked opponents. This one comes against number 7 Kirkwood, 81-64. And unranked DuPage wins a thriller against the defending national champs, number 8 Milwaukee Area Tech, 94-92. The Kirkwood women cooled off number 2 Iowa Western in a commanding victory against the Reavers, and another unranked upset. Raritan Valley knocks off number 8 Union College, New Jersey, by 9. And to close out, Division III had a showdown of top teams in Dallas, and the Blazers of North Lake held true with a big win over Dallas College Richland.
We've got some really good basketball games coming up over the next week, so let's jump right into them with D1 men's basketball. Number 15 Hutchinson versus number 22 Butler. These teams played each other at the beginning of January, so not that long ago, and Hutch ended up getting the win. Butler obviously wanting to steal the victory this time around, and as we get closer to basketball selection shows, they have to do everything they can to get themselves a spot. In D1 women's basketball, number 5 New Mexico versus number 11 Odessa. This is another set of teams who have already played, this time in mid-January, with New Mexico getting the win, but that was Odessa's last loss. So they have a nice win streak going on right now. So do the Thunderbirds. Both of these teams are playing really well at the right time. In D2 men's basketball, number 6 Macomb versus number 13 St. Clair County. St. Clair won this matchup, and this one was just a few weeks ago, but since then, Macomb has been beating opponents solidly. St. Clair has also been putting in the work to move up the rankings, so this is a game that could be a pretty even matchup. In D3 men's basketball, number 1 Brookdale versus number 6 Montgomery County. The undefeated Jersey Blues have been moving along this season with confidence, but this is a great chance for the Mustangs to get a big upset if they can pull it off. Those are just some of the big matchups that we're going to have our eye on over the next week. Stay tuned. We will be right back after this short break.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
I have a little birthday message for you from someone too.
I heard you really love basketball. You're a good shooter and a good dribbler. Happy birthday, MJ, and I hope you enjoy your day.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Welcome back to NJCAA All Access. On this week's JUCO Game Changers, we've got a little bit of an interesting story for you. Colin Storms played baseball at one junior college, but now he's working in an entirely different sport, and it's a sport that most people don't know a lot about. He talked with Zach recently.
Welcome into JUCO Game Changers. We have a very special guest today, a former Navarro College JUCO baseball bandit, Colin Storms, now on the Team USA bobsled team. It has been quite the journey for you, and we appreciate you taking the time to come on today.
Thanks for letting me come out.
Yeah, so we'll start. For those that don't know your story, how did you go from a successful JUCO baseball pitcher to bobsled?
So after I left Navarro, I went over to the University of New Mexico and played there for a year. And then COVID hit and kind of changed some things up. And so from there, I transferred over to St. Mary's University down in San Antonio. And I did my junior and senior year there. And during my senior year, I tore my rotator cuff and my labrum. And so I was kind of battling that, trying to rehab, trying to play that season, but it never really got healthy enough to go play. And so when I came back home and started working, I started rehabbing also on my shoulder, try to get that healthy to go have a chance at pro ball. And was doing that for a little over a year. And I got everything healthy, but the velocity kind of just never came back. And as a pitcher, that's, number one thing to get signed. And so just being stuck at like 87, 88 and all my bullpens, it was like, all right, well, let's try something new. And so my coach came up to me and just mentioned, hey, you want to do bobsled? And I was all down for it, and went over to the middle school, took some videos of running and did some lifting videos and sent that into the online combine and got a call back to come to rookie camp. And so ended up going to rookie camp and did really good, and then got invited to a performance camp after that, did good, and then went into push champs and performed well enough to go get on a squad this year and go have some races. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And we were talking beforehand about all the places you were just traveling through Europe. What has it been like essentially starting from scratch in a new sport to competing internationally?
Yeah, no, it's wild. I mean, if you'd have told me 7 months ago this is what I'd be doing, I would call you crazy, because I didn't see this in the picture at all. But it's a whole nother experience from coming from baseball to going to winter sports, the atmosphere, the track and everything. It's a whole lot different. It kind of reminds me of like track meets whenever I was in high school, and there's a lot of nerves out there. It's everyone's working on the sleds like a race pit and everything, and it's just a whole new environment, but it's a lot of fun.
Let's go back to those Bulldog days. Junior college and JUCO baseball especially have that perception of the athletes that are gritty, you know, grind your way to the top. Is that kind of a mentality that you carry with you into bobsledding?
Oh, 100%. I mean, everyone who does bobsledding for Team USA, we all have jobs outside of doing bobsled. So it's just a constant balance of being able to travel and do all the races you can, and then also have enough money to afford it and then go back home and work. And so it's nothing new. Not like when it came to JUCO and how we had to work out there and just being on the field for 5 hours a day. And same thing when it comes to bobsledding. Now we're out there on the track 5-6 hours a day and working on sleds, moving those things everywhere, because they're not light by any means. I mean, the 2-mans are like 400 pounds and the 4-mans are 550 pounds. And so we're having to pick those up ourselves and load them up on trucks, get them back to the top of the hill, make sure all the runners and the articulation, everything's working well, and then go right back at it.
What's the ultimate goal for you as far as bobsledding goes?
My goal right now is to make the 26 Olympics. So as of yesterday, we're exactly 2 years out from that day. And so I'll go through the rest of this season, go through next season, and then that fall of 25 is when kind of the selections start getting into place in the trials. And so based on how you're ranked going into that year, then you can qualify to be in the Olympics in 26. So that's my goal, is to make one of those sleds.
Well, you're certainly going to have a lot of NJCAA folks cheering you on. Last question I had for you. I'm sure there are plenty of NJCAA student athletes right now, like you were, with maybe an injury or they don't know what's next in their career. What advice would you have for them on where your successes come from?
I mean, if you have a dream to keep being an athlete, you never know until you try. Like if you have an opportunity to try something new, go out and do it, because who knows, you could be good and it could be a whole new door that's going to open up for you. So give it a shot.
Well, that's certainly some good advice to pass along to those NJCAA student athletes. And Colin, congratulations on your success so far, and thanks again for tuning in today.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
What a great story. So be sure to look out for Colin as he continues to chase his Olympic dream. He also told me before the interview that he's looking for sponsors, so if that's something that you're interested in, be sure to reach out. All right, time to return to our baseball previews. A couple weeks ago, we analyzed Division I baseball, and now we move to Division II. The preseason top 5 is talented top to bottom. St. John's River State at 5 and the Lansing Stars at 4. But today we look at the top 3, who are the previous 3 winners of the Division II Baseball World Series in Oklahoma. Let's start with the defending national champ, Heartland. They lost a lot of production after last year's title run, predominantly the NJCAA Division II Player of the Year, Sam Antonacci, who hit nearly 500 in 2 years with the Hawks. He's expected to be an opening day starter at Coastal Carolina this year, and former teammate Ben Hartle will also get some D1 playing time at Kansas. Last year's All-American drove in 134 runs over the last 2 years, blasting 22 homers, including a come-from-behind walk-off in Enid. Heartland will try and fill those gaps with a couple of big-time returners. Lefty pitcher Luke Wright had 10 starts and a 7-1 record last year. He'll be the ace of a talented staff. And then at the plate, Hawks have Corey Boyette, who reached base at a .533 clip while slugging .720 last year. And then another Kansas Jayhawk commit at the top of the order in T.J. Williams. He was 30 for 31 on stolen bags last year and uses that speed defensively as well, making this diving play over the summer, which was featured on SportsCenter. Next up is the 2021 World Series winner, LSU Eunice. The Tigers haven't been to Enid since the championship, falling in the region tournament each of the last 2 years. But they have the firepower to make some noise this season and are already off to a 9-0 start. A big reason for the success is the tall righty Parker Webb, who had 11 starts and a 7-2 record last year and is a perfect 3-0 to start his campaign. To top that off, he's coming off a 10 strikeout performance against National Park a few weeks ago. And lastly, we dive into the Wildcats of Pearl River. The offense has a lot of newcomers this year, with Southern Miss transfers Bryce Fowler and Creek Robertson entering starting roles. But the big story of this Pearl River team is the pitching. The Wildcats have 2 SEC commits in the starting rotation alone, with JT Schnorr committed to Mississippi State and the bell cow sophomore Connor Ware, who's committed to LSU. The lefty has cracked the big boards of top JUCO players in most reports and has impressed so far this season. A lot of storylines this year on the road to the Division II NJCAA World Series, the road to Enid, Oklahoma, which starts May 25th. All right, we're going to step aside and take a quick break, but on the other side, we have rankings and junior college gyms. Stay with us on NJCAA All Access.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
Welcome back to NJCAA All Access. Let's get right into rankings, and like always, we're going to start with D1 men's basketball. South Plains still holds that #1 ranked spot, but Barton slides into 2nd. Daytona State is now 3rd, Vincennes is 4th, and Triton rounds out the top 5. Mineral Area falls from 2nd to 7th, Panola falls to 14th, Caldwell Tech moves up to 19th, Snow down to 20th, and North Dakota SCS makes their debut at 24th. D2 men's basketball, National Park remains #1. The top 5 don't change this week. Iowa Lakes jumps to 7th, Milwaukee Area falls to 11th, Lakeland falls to 17th, Johnson County down to 19th, and Orange County down to 20th. In D3 men's basketball, Brookdale still leads the way, and the top 5 don't change. Dallas Richland moves down to 9th, and Dutchess falling to 14th. In D1 women's basketball, we have a new #1. Congratulations to Hutchinson, who take over the top spot. Gulf Coast, our previous #1, moves to 2nd. Collin County in 3rd, Northwest Florida State 4th, and New Mexico is 5th. Pearl River falls to 10th, and just some small movements down the rest of the leaderboard, with East Georgia State making their ranking debut at 25th. In D2 women's basketball, Johnson County still claiming that top spot. Kirkwood moves into 2nd, Mesa takes over 4th, and CCBC Essex comes in at 5th. Iowa Western, previously ranked 2nd, they fall to 6th. Union College down to 10th, and Harcum down to 12th. And we wrap up rankings with D3 women's basketball. Rochester still at #1. Jefferson making a big jump from 11th to 5th. Owen falls to 9th, and Nassau gets that 10th spot. Those are the rankings we've got for this week. We're going to send it over to Zach with JUCO Gems.
With crossover season in full swing, we had a surplus of top play submissions. Here's the best 4 that we could find for this week's junior college gyms. We start in the Sunshine State for a tight matchup between Northwest Florida and Tallahassee. And here's Hayden Brittingham. Look at this in slow-mo as he ducks under the block and bends the rim on a business trip to the rack. One more time to see the ferocity of this move in full speed as he drives to the paint and makes one heck of a move, but Brittingham wasn't done there. Later in the game, looking like a LeBron Game 7 chase down block, getting it done on both ends, and the Eagles take down the Raiders. More basketball. The defending champs Milwaukee Area Tech working on the lob game. Shelton Williams Dryden to Breon Williams. He skies over the paint and finishes the perfect alley-oop, and the Stormers win big, 107-85 at Olive Harvey. In Mississippi, final seconds tie game between Copiah Lincoln and Mississippi Delta, and Corterius Scott, off balance, gets the game winner to go. Not sure how this dropped, fading away from the basket. It's nothing but net, and the Wolves get the W on the road. We stay in Mississippi for some baseball. Diving stop by Jeff Ince, who flips to Creek Robertson on the bare hand, and the pick at first base polishes off a SportsCenter top 10 play. What a turn by the middle infield that completes this week's Junior College Gems.
Keep sending us all of those highlights from across the NJCAA at NJCAA Network. We want to feature all of our amazing student athletes every week.
Yeah, good to get a baseball highlight in there as well. At NJCAA Network on Facebook and on Twitter. You know the drill by now, and we appreciate you tuning in. Next week, we will be back on Thursday, and we will see you then. Take care.